Hi everybody, how are you all? I'm really very happy to connect with you all in this manner. I'm making this video for the sake and for the benefit of the students, my students. Okay, so take some time, go through this video and learn something. Today our topic is functions. That is fourth unit. Our subject name is programming for problem solving. In this programming for problem solving, fourth unit includes three important subtopics. First one is functions, second one is recursion, third one is dynamic memory relocation functions. For timing, in this video, I am going to cover functions topic. So in these functions, we'll discuss what is function, that is definition, and we'll discuss what is the purpose of the functions, what are the different types of functions, what are the three important steps to use functions, what is the syntax of those three steps, an example of those three steps, types of arguments, types of written statements we are going to see. The first one, definition part. What is meant by function? Before discussing about functions, let me define two important terms. That is, what is a program? What is meant by complete program? Program is set of instructions and complete program is set of functions. Both are used to solve the given problem. Program, set of instructions which is used to solve the problem. Complete program, set of functions that are used to solve the given problem. So function is a subprogram. This is a whole program which includes different sections. Subprogram is this part, that is called subprogram or part of the program. If it is whole program, then the subprogram is part of whole program, or it is also called as a self-contained block. Self-contained block means statements that are enclosed within pair of curly braces, open brace and closing brace. Whatever the statements included in between open brace, closing brace, that part is called self-contained block, which is used to perform specific task. Finally, that function may or may not return a value. Let us consider this is a subprogram section which includes different functions. Each and every function will perform specific task. Finally, that will return value or control. That's why it is called may or may not return a value. If I want to execute a particular program, first compiler will request operating system, then immediate operating system grants the permission, then program will be executed from main function. That main function includes different instructions and different function call statements. Whenever a function call performed or whenever a function invoked, a jump occurred from this place to this place, and with the help of this function I can perform specific task, then control will be returned back and another instruction will be executed, then next one another function call, another function will be invoked and the same second function will be performed specific task, and finally it returns so and so value, and finally return means closing brace. This control will be returned back to operating system. After completion of the program, control will be returned back to operating system. This is about a function. Then what is the main purpose of the function? Let us consider a particular program which includes 1000 lines. In that particular 1000 lines program, if I want to perform addition of two numbers more than once, for example 5 number of times I want to perform addition of two numbers, different numbers, but I need to write the same addition. For example, addition program contains 5 number of lines. Same 5 number of lines, same piece of code, I need to rewrite again and again at different places. So that is the main drawback. Because of that particular drawback, what happens? Number of lines of the program or size of the program will be increased. So my intention is to reduce that particular size or length of the program. So that is possible with the help of the functions. That is the main purpose. First purpose is to reduce size or length of the program. Then second one, instead of rewriting again and again the same piece of code within the main, if I define that code outside of the main, whenever wherever required I can call and I can reuse. I can call and I can reuse n number of times. In that particular case, Size will not be increased, length will not be increased, but reusability of that particular code will be increased. That's the main purpose. First one is size or length need to be reduced and reusability need to be increased. So reusability of the code, that's the second purpose. Then we can define that particular function either before main or after main. So once you define that particular function, define any function outside of the main n number of times, we can reuse that particular defined function whenever, wherever required to perform specific task. Then what are the different types of functions? Functions are of two types. Predefined function, also called as user-defined function. This predefined function is also called as a library function, also called as a built-in function. Then what are the differences between predefined as well as user-defined functions? Predefined function is also called as library function, also called as a built-in function. A user-defined function is also called as a function body. A function body is after main function, whatever the function defined, it's also called as a function body. It is simply user-defined function. And second point is part of the header files. These predefined functions resides at one place. That place is called library. It is also called as system library. It is also called as C library. All predefined functions resides at one place. That place is called library. Those functions stored in a particular place, that place is called header files. All these header files are part of the library. But all user-defined functions are part of the program. And then third point, for predefined functions, there is no self-contained block. That is open brace, closing brace, set of statements. That is not there in the case of predefined functions in our program. But in the case of user-defined function, self-contained block will be there. That self-contained block contains some statements. All those statements will be written by user only. That's why it is called user-defined function. And in the case of predefined function, before using any predefined function in my program to perform so and so task or to solve the given problem, first what I have to do, whatever the predefined function I am going to use, the corresponding header file need to be included in my program in link section. And in the case of user-defined function, before using any user-defined function, that function need to be declared, means that function need to be informed to compiler in the form of function declaration. The example for predefined functions is printf, scanf. These are predefined functions, comes under stdio.h header file. In this case, if I want to add two numbers by using add function, first this function need to be informed to compiler like this. That is return type, function name, arguments, and need to be terminated with a semicolon. And that function defined here closing brace means here, that is after this statement there is closing brace. This part is called function definition and this part is called function declaration. Like this, before using any function, like this I am supposed to inform it to compiler. Just like ordinary variables, int a and a is equal to 10. So before using that particular variable, that variable need to be informed to compiler. Like that, function also need to be declared. That is informed to compiler. Then next one is, if I want to solve any problem, I need to use three important steps. That is 3 steps to use functions. To solve any given problem by using functions, 3 important steps to be used are 3 important steps need to be specified. Those steps are, first one is function declaration, second one is function definition, third one is function call. Just like before using any variable, what we will do? We will declare. That is called declaration part, variable declaration part. Here we call it as function declaration. So whatever the function I am going to use need to be informed to, need to be introduced to compiler. That is called inform. Then second one is function definition. Like ordinary variable is equal to 10. Similar here also, whatever the function informed to compiler, for that function body part or functionality part need to be included to the declaration part. That is called conform. That is what the function does. The actual functionality of the function, user-defined function, need to be specified in the form of function definition. Finally, after defining that particular functionality, that particular function, if I want to perform some task with the help of that defined function, I need to call that particular function. That is called function call. If I want to perform something, I need to call. So, if I want to perform, I need to conform. To conform, I need to inform. So, first inform, then conform with the definition part, then perform by calling that particular function. That is about 3 important steps. Don't forget declaration part, definition part, and call. That is function declaration, function definition, and function call. Then function declaration part. It is also called as function prototype. And if I want to declare function, I need to remember syntax part. That syntax part is return type, like integer, float, whatever it may be, function name, any valid identifier name, and within the parenthesis, this is called parenthesis, open parenthesis, closing parenthesis, in between arguments, whatever the arguments I am going to use to perform so and so task, those arguments need to be enclosed within pair of these parentheses, that is along with type, and this whole part need to be terminated with a semicolon. This is a rule, function declaration rule, don't forget. So here example is with the help of add function, I can add a and b, and after adding a and b is of integer type, final result also will be integer type. That result will be written by add function, that's why return type is int. If I want to divide x with y with the help of div function, I can divide x with y. Finally, I can obtain fractional part. That fractional part result will be written by div function, that's why return type is float. Here functions can be declared either globally. Globally means before main. Locally within the main. Either globally or locally I can declare any function, means I can inform it to compiler either globally or locally. Both are valid. And next one is function definition part. Definition is nothing but a functionality. This function definition is also called as function body part. Here, if I want to define a function to perform something, I need to remember syntax, that is function body. Function definition rule is like this. Return type, actually here R is capital, but while writing we are supposed to write all lowercase type of data types only. So return type, function name, arguments, then open brace, closing brace. Here local arguments, also called as local variables, and executable part, actual logic of the program or function or problem will be included in this particular part. Finally, in this executable part, result will be obtained. That result can be written by using a return statement. Simply this rule, this syntax contains a return type, function name, arguments, and open brace, closing brace, in between local variables, executable part, then return statement. This whole syntax part is used to perform something. If you want to perform a particular task, you need to define a function. If you want to define any function, you need to use this particular syntax. This return type must be matched with the declaration part return type. This function name must be matched with the previous declaration part function name. These arguments, number of arguments and type of arguments must be matched with the declaration part type of arguments, number of arguments. So functions can be defined either globally or locally. That is, a function can be defined before main, or function can be defined after main, no problem. So if it is defined globally, means before main, no need of declaration part, no need to inform it to compiler through declaration. Why? Because we already informed to compiler about that particular function by defining that particular function before main. So if you want to define any function before main, don't use declaration part. If you want to define that particular function after main, then use the declaration part. Please keep this particular point in your mind. We will discuss the same point with the help of example, don't worry. Then coming to